She's supposed to be gentle, he's supposed to be tough. She nurtures, he leads. She listens, he speaks. Today we are here to challenge the script, the one that hands out qualities based on gender-like costumes in a play. Because somewhere along the way, feminine became fragile and masculine became emotionless. And we forgot that strength, softness, ambition, and empathy belong to everyone. If you've ever felt boxed in by what you're supposed to be, this episode is your permission slip to break out.
Do you think we still associate leadership positions to male qualities?
100%. I would say, even if you look at the present scenario, how many female leaders do you find across the globe?
I mean, very
the political
rare.
leaders. Yeah. The percentage is very rare. And even in terms of like the companies or industrial arenas, again, that's the same question. So, yeah, it's the percentage is very less.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we still see posts being like, oh, the first female CEO or the first female...
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, this reminds me of the fact, why don't we say the first male CEO, the first male president? No, nobody talks about that. So it's kind of weird the way society is structured, for sure.
Yeah, do you also think it has anything to do with like these subtle norms that we have about how women are supposed to behave, right? A woman isn't supposed to be assertive.
I love that.
Right?
Definitely the subtle norms are operating here, because the moment you envision leadership with being aggressive, dominating, dynamic, and if it's a woman, well, submissive, caring, nurturing, we associate those qualities too quickly without even giving a second thought about the person. We evaluate someone based on whether that person is a man, a woman, or whatever gender identity they have. We evaluate based on that. We do not see the person. So for me, it's pretty much interesting when people say, oh, leadership has more to do. Okay, if you do not have a very strong physical build, or you're not dynamic, or you do not have a powerful voice, well then leadership doesn't align, because most of the females are submissive and they don't have their own decision-making power, all those things. So 100%. This is something we are biased, our lens is biased.
Yeah, and along the lines of what you just said, I also want to ask you, you know, when you're getting interviewed, women will typically be suggested, like let's say they're in a relationship planning on getting married.
Yeah.
They'll be suggested not to say that in the interview, you know, because it's like, oh, but then you're getting married, you're going to want to have kids. Companies don't want that. Right?
That's
Whereas when it's men, that's not even a question. They could be married, they could have 12 kids, it does not matter, they'll get hired. But if a woman, you know, very rarely will you see a woman who's pregnant go on an interview, because she knows she's not going to get a job immediately, because she's going to go on maternity leave soon, she's going to be sensitive afterwards, all these things, all this stigma, all these subtle norms that are still so present. What do you have to say about all of this?
I love that. I don't think I ever gave a second thought to this. I mean, I've been thinking about subtle norms, but the example you just mentioned, like for me, it's like, ooh. For me, I 100% agree that these subtle norms operate in a way which actually stop women from getting things, from reaching out, from pursuing their dreams and desires. And we, again, this is the same thing. If a man can go on a leave for whatever reason, we are okay with that. But if a woman has to go on a maternity leave, and if she's sitting for an interview, so the interesting thing is, yes, I do respect the fact that women are given maternity leave and things like that. But again, the subtle norms that tend to operate, like we create an image, well, you know, what if we hire this person, we have to do all those things and it's going to be stressful for us. So just let us just let go of this person and hire someone else. Why? Even if you know that person brings something to the table, even if they have the capacity to do it, it's just, oh yeah, she's going to go on maternity leave in a few weeks. So I think the best way is to, you know, avoid all that dramatic thing, and it's better to side with someone else. So regardless of the fact, and acknowledging the fact that it's something humane, we don't see those things in that way.
No, I mean, you know, it's also crazy because it's so contradictory, because society wants women to have kids, you know, they want families, they want reproduction, they want, you know, society to grow. But then try to find a job and they don't want you to have kids because it takes away your time. Your focus isn't on your job.
I love that because that's the thing. Society is operating in a very contradictory way. You say something, you do something else. And does that ever establish credibility? Well, no. That's the problem. Even with humans, right? If you would come across someone who says something, does something, would you find that person credible?
No.
It's the same way, the society. You're saying, well, yeah, women have to, family should come up and all those things. And at the same time, you're declining them of certain opportunities. You're not ready to give them certain positions just because of the mere fact that, yeah, she's going to go on maternity leave very soon and who's going to do our work, or we are understaffed.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's so contradicting that even, it's easy for even us to be like, wait, what are we supposed to do now? Like, have kids, go to job, and then be criticized for having kids. Like everything we do, we're going to get criticized for it.
And one thing I again want to reiterate the fact is, regardless of the criticism that you receive, if you are strongly tied to your self-worth, which is why the concept of all those, the concept of self comes in. And the moment I say self, people are like, oh, well, yeah, she's talking about being selfish. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, if you know your self-worth, nothing can ever shake your sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
Nothing can ever. Even your own comments. And you won't even pass negative comments to yourself if you know who you are, your worthiness. It has nothing to do with the external things that people tend to say. Regardless of the fact, if you become a mother and you go back to your workplace and they're like, oh, well, you know what? Oh, or probably even if they won't come to your face and say, they might be bitching about you and you just overheard. You eavesdropped and you found that they were saying, oh, well, look at this. She's not even a good mother. Oh, and mothers are going to internalize this and be like, well, yeah, I'm not a good mother. I should go back. It's that simple.
Along these lines of like these little comments that people make, I want to ask you, do you think like, let's say a businesswoman, when you're a CEO or when you have a position of power, there's a certain, behavior. You need to be assertive. You need to, you need to own yourself. You need to portray yourself as someone who's like, knows what they're doing. And that's kind of what, is attributed to these type of positions. So let's say a woman is a businesswoman. She's a CEO. And then she's assertive. But then people see that as a problem. Right? They're like, oh, now she's labeled as intimidating, as cold-hearted, as uncaring. Do you think the problem actually lies with her tone and her behavior, or is it just the way we were conditioned?
The way we are conditioned, for sure. I won't even give a second thought before saying that. Because on one side, as I said, contradictions again. You associate certain traits with a certain position of leadership, and if that happens, then we're quick to label that woman as intimidating, as someone who's arrogant, as someone who's... Well, if a man does the same, we look up to that person, we're like, oh, wow, so good. This is the exact thing we do.
Yeah.
And we're quick to pass comments and berate that woman for doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
And you tell me, even, okay, well, you know what, this is conditioning, to be very honest with you, in terms of the leadership position and the traits that you should have. Being a leader, well, you can be a leader, but can you also be nurturing, loving, respectful, caring at the same time?
I think yes.
Well, yeah. And that's what we all are striving for, those traits. We all want those traits. You tell me, would you want a partner who is dynamic, who is aggressive, who is dominant, who is bold, or would you want someone who is caring, nurturing, loving?
Exactly. Let me tell you this. When you're doing a job, when you always complain about your manager, like, oh, they're too strict, they're always telling me what to do, they never listen to me.
Exactly.
And yet when we're talking about, like, let's say presidency or leadership positions, all of a sudden that's all the qualities we want.
Exactly.
The second there's a woman up for the job, she's nurturing, she listens to what people want, that's a problem all of a sudden.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of contradiction around, and people, they say certain things and get trapped into what they've said. That's the lack of clarity everyone is operating with. And then we are very quick to take opinions, and we are very quick to take judgments from other people who do not know in the first place what they are doing. This society will tell you to behave in certain ways, to act in a certain way, when in reality they don't know what they are themselves doing.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one last question.
Yes.
How do you think we can start to break this pattern? We've already started this, there used to be this whole thing about like, when you're little kids shopping for kids' clothing, boys would have superheroes, girls would have princesses and this.
Oh, of course.
Now it's, becoming less prominent.
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely.
So that was already a path towards, equality between these kids. Not to,
Yeah.
you're not immediately feeding them what they're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Other, stuff like this. What are some other examples, or what are your thoughts on how we can start to break these patterns from a young age?
The first way is to have a sense of clarity with who you are. I'm not saying have everything figured out. Nobody can. Nobody, even by the time you're on your deathbed, you can definitely have 100 things that you're not clear about.
Yeah.
All good, all fine. That is what life is. But clarity about who you are, what you want in life. Please, please, please have some sort of, instead of, the thing is we are influenced too quickly.
Yeah.
Be it media, be it anything. You're sold anything very quickly and be like, oh, well, yeah, I think I should try this. I should try this, or do you want to try this? Because when you're in shoulds, or, oh, maybe, this maybe and should is a very clear, the kind of language you use for yourself is a clear demarcator of who you are as a person. Now here, I'm in the midway. I don't know either it's this or that. Maybe. Maybe I should try. Do I want to try? Do I want to try? Mess up and then get up? Up to me. Yes. If I'm up for it, please go ahead. But maybe, because then one thing that you're doing when you're using a very shaky language is you're getting rid of the responsibility.
Yeah.
Then you're like, well, oh, maybe what my friends told, so I did this. My mom told me, so I just ended up doing this. I didn't even know. That's the first clarity, accountability on your part. Stop making other people accountable. Stop making other people responsible. Please be responsible in terms of the person you are in the first place. I think that is the biggest favor that we can do to ourselves. That's the biggest gift that a person can give to themselves.
I really, really love that, because, what you said about should you do this or do you want to do this? Are you, the actions you're doing, is it because you're supposed to or because you want to? And I think once people start questioning that, they'll start to see the huge influence these subtle norms have on us. Because immediately, why are we thinking we're supposed to do this? Who said you're supposed to do this? You're, at the end of the day, you have power over your actions, right? You need to just think about it. You need to reflect on what you're doing, and once you start doing that, you'll be able to start making these changes you want.
Love that.